In today's video, I'm going to walk you through step by step about that picture-in-picture thing and how it works in Davinci Resolve. Hi, I'm Belle and welcome back to How to IT. So for those that don't know what I'm talking about, sometimes you want a picture of you, say at the bottom of the screen, while something bigger is shown in the background, like this. Or that. Or that. And that? Okay, hang on. We're getting way out of hand. So in this tutorial, I'm going to show you everything that you are going to need to know about doing picture-in-picture in Davinci Resolve 18. Now don't worry, it's going to be beginner friendly at the start and then it will get a little bit more advanced as we go. But I'm sure with my step-by-step guide, you'll even be able to do the really advanced portion of this video. No problem. You'll surprise yourself. It's really easy. Now don't fret. Fusion will not be used in this tutorial. We are going to be able to do all this in our edit page. So if you freak out about the thought of Fusion, don't worry. The Fusion video is coming, but it's taking a bit longer than I thought. So after this video, you're going to be a master of picture-in-picture. So let's get started.
Okay, here we are in Davinci Resolve. I'm going to start a new project. And we're going to quickly add our files into Davinci. If this at all seems really quick to you, go back and watch my beginner's tutorial. That'll explain in detail of how I'm doing it. Okay, so media. Okay, so we have our files and we're going to jump over to edit. Okay, so I added our videos to the timeline. So we have a camera video and I have gameplay of my Minecraft Let's Play. If you care to check that out, that's on my gaming channel. All right, so let's get into this. Okay, so first I'm going to run through a quick, easy, beginner-friendly way of introducing picture-in-picture. So I've kind of set out my Davinci, so it's kind of like zoomed in, so it's easy for you to see what's going on. So if yours looks a little different, don't freak out. All I've done is taken the other window away, so I've only got the one preview window. To toggle that on and off, it's just with this little square here, dual viewer mode, like that, and I just toggled it off. So this is our timeline, this is our playback window. Okay, so what we need to do first is, this is our picture-in-picture video. Now, a really quick way is to come over to here and we can click transform. And then we get these white dots around our image, and we can just simply drag them like so. And we can even crop it. So I only want me in the picture. And then we can also click and drag it to where we want it to sit. And then we can just simply click the transform off. Now I have a picture and a bigger picture back there. And it'll play like that. Unfortunately, my video doesn't go for very long, but this is just a demonstration. In fact, it might be easier if we just cut this. And then we can zoom this in a little bit. There we go. So now we've resized, positioned it, cropped it. Now you might think it's kind of hard to see my little camera. So we're going to add a background to it and make it act like a border. So what we're going to do first is move the video to our picture in picture up one. So it's on video track 3 now. And we're going to click on effects. Under toolbox, we have generators. Now we're going to come all the way down to solid color. And we're going to drag that in between our 2 video layers. So remember, this is the background and this is what we want on top. So this is going to be behind this one, but in front of this one. So now I'm just going to make this the length of my clip. Like so. Okay, so right now this solid color is black. And it's taking up the whole picture. So what we're going to do is same thing we did with our picture. We're going to click on this transform. And I'm just going to move this a little bit smaller. Now we have just make it a little bit smaller. And now we have a nice border around our picture. Now you can change the color of this. So we can go to the inspector and the generator color, and we could choose a nice red if we wanted to. Now there's a red border around my picture. So that is the quickest way to set a picture-in-picture up in your video. And I personally think it's the easiest. One thing I didn't mention as well, with this picture-in-picture clip selected, you can actually zoom in using the inspector, and you can change the position as well using the inspector. You can rotate your picture a little bit change the pitch and the yaw. You can also flip it, make it upside down, whatever you want to do. And if you ever want to change all these settings back to normal, you can just double click them and they will change back. Okay, so I just went and reset back to when we first started. So now this is a fresh new project. I have the picture in picture on top again and the background on the bottom. This next technique is using an effect. So if we go to the effects panel and we go down to effects, and down here we have DVE. Now what we can do is simply click and drag that onto our top layer. And now you can see our picture has been sized and also has a border around it all ready for us. Now if we scrub through our footage, we can see that looks pretty good, pretty professional. Now if you want to change this, you need to make sure that the video 2 is selected, or your top layered video, and head over to the inspector. Now instead of changing anything in here, we need to go over to the effects tab. There's actually a couple options you can choose. So version is actually the appearance. So that's the first one. You can change it to 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now you can also change how big and small it is. With this option, you are quite limited in what you can do. You can put a border around it. Oh, it does have a border. You can change the color of that border to whatever you want. You can blend the border, so it's just transparency. And you can also add a drop shadow. So for our drop shadow, we can make it black to increase that shadow strength. You can just add there, and now you can see that there's a pretty distinct shadow, and it looks like our video is on top of the background video. You can also change the distance. You can have it quite close and change the angle wherever you want the drop shadow to be. So you have it that side. You might want video to be down the bottom there. So I do recommend cropping your video before you add this effect, so you can zoom in and get where you want it to be. Okay, so this is option 3. This is kind of like the last one, but it gives you a lot more options. So in this one, we're actually going to need to install a plugin.
So what's a plugin, I hear you ask? Well, it's a bit of software that you have the option of installing into the main program. It then enhances the normal capabilities of that program. So it's kind of like a mod for a game. But plugins generally don't change the original code. of the program, like mods can. This is made possible because Davinci Resolve is an open source software. There is a huge community that makes all sorts of plugins for Davinci Resolve. I highly suggest you checking some out.
So the plugin is by Patrick Stirling. He has done heaps of plugins for Davinci Resolve. All are fantastic and amazing. I will link down to his YouTube channel and also his plugin download page, so you can download this as well. Alright, so first I'm going to show you how to install this plugin and use it. So first head to the link. Alright, so this is the link. This is the plugin. It's pretty cool. You can do a lot with it. So all you need to do is add to cart. It is completely free. However, if you wish to donate, that is entirely up to you. And just say complete order. And now all we need to do is press download. We can open our zip, and it is already a DRFX file. So all we need to do is double click. Now a pop-up will come up in Davinci Resolve, and you press install, and now it should be installed. It's that easy. So that's your first plugin for Davinci Resolve. Okay, so now let's use it. So all we need to do is go to Effects, and under the Effects tab, if we go right down, we'll have Stirling Supply Co, and that is the plugin picture-in-picture effect that we just downloaded. So if we just click and drag on top of our top video, now we have a nice picture-in-picture. Doesn't that look fancy? This is by far one of my favorites to do picture-in-picture with. It's just so simple, so easy, and it's very customizable. So to customize this, we can click on or make sure our video is selected, and we just click on the inspector. I'll just click out of effects. That makes this a little bit bigger, and we can go to effects. Now we have all our settings here. So master transform controls. You can change the size of your picture-in-picture. I'm just going to move my video over a little bit so I'm in the center. You can also zoom in through the video tab here as well. So if we go back to effects, and then if we want to change the position, we can just grab this, drag it over, then we can drag it down. So that's where you want to get it in position, but you can even go further. So if you don't want a square, let's say you might want a circle. If you open up the mask shape controls here, and you can click circle, now we have a circle. Then you can, let's have a star. And then this one I think is a hexagon, but you can actually change the shape of it. So you can actually change all of these presets. So if we go into star, for example, and go down to the star controls, we can change how many points it has. We can change the depth of those points. We can change the width and the height, and also the angle of where those points are. So it's really like you can just customize everything so well. And you can do that with all the shapes. Just make sure you click on the appropriate shape selection. So we've got eclipse controls. We can change the width, the height, and the angle. We could have an Easter egg for Easter. And same with the rectangle as well. So if we go square, the rectangle controls, we can make it a rectangle. And then we can change the height, corner, make it like the Instagram logo, and you can change the angle. So we've done the master, we've done the mask, the footage controls. You can change your footage controls from inside the effects tab, which is really cool. You can rotate it, and you can add a footage blur. So it actually blurs the footage into the border. And then we have layer controls. So you can change the thickness of the layer. You can change the length of the layer. You can change the color of the layer. So we could go green. But what's really cool, and there's a really nice feature, is you can actually add another outline. So if we turn this on, we have another outline here, and we can change the thickness of this, the position of this, the length. So we could have this take up half. That looks pretty cool. And we can have it actually rotate around, and the speed that that does that. And let's change the color to yellow. So now if we play back our timeline, we can actually see a nice animation going around. And of course you can add another one if you want to. And you can add some texture details as well. Now it's kind of like a wavy line going around. So now we kind of have like a flamish effect around our picture. There's like a ton of stuff you can do. You just really just got to play and fiddle with it, and yeah, don't be afraid. It's pretty easy. Okay, so that was the layer controls. Now if we go to drop shadow controls, it is on. So we can see our drop shadow. You can see it around there. We can change where it is, of course. And we can change the distance of our drop shadow. So it's very cool. It's very powerful. And it's free. Okay, so the final way I'm going to show you how to do a picture-in-picture today. But please stay till the very end so you have knowledge on how to move your picture-in-picture within your video in case it's blocking the background that you want your audience to see. So stay tuned for that. Okay, so say you have this heart shape and you want to put your face into that shape. So we are going to drag this into our timeline. Now we first need to make the video on top of it. So we're going to drag our video up and going to drag our picture down here. I'm just going to zoom in and I'm just going to make this the same length as our videos. Just like that. Okay, so we've got our video, our heart shape. So if I hide this, you can see our heart shape that we're going to put our video in. So to get our video inside, we're going to head to the inspector. So making sure our shape is selected, we're going to go down to composite and then we're going to change the composite mode. So instead of having it normal, we're going to change it to alpha. Okay, we need to change our video. So we're going to click on our video here and in the inspector again, change our composite mode to foreground. Now we can go up here and position our picture a little bit better. It's a very weird shape. But, you know, you might want a heart shape. All right, so that looks a little bit better. So what we did there was we made this video 2-track a mask for our video. So think of a mask like one for your face. It can change the look, shape, and even hide parts for all of your face. So this mask has transformed our video into a heart-shaped video. So now I want to move my heart down to the bottom. So let's position. Now you see it's only moving our mask. It's actually not moving our video as well. So I'm just going to move this back So what we need to do is make this a composition which combines both of our layers into one. So let's select both clips. So I'm going to highlight the first clip or video 3 and press Shift and click on the second clip. You can also click and drag a box around both clips or on top of both clips, and both clips will select that way too. So now they are both highlighted. Then we want to right click and we want to select New Compound Clip. Now you want to give it a name so you know what this sequence is. So I'm going to write PIP for Picture in Picture and press Create. Now those two clips are combined. Now we can adjust the size, move them both at the same time, and put them where we want them. So if you need to select or change the individual clip, you can always right click on this selected clip and then press Open in Timeline. And this brings us to the two clips. Okay, so don't really like the heart. So let's change it, shall we? If we have our clip, our mask selected, so our heart shape or whatever shape you chose, and I'm just going to make our Davinci have the two windows again. So I've got the two view modes. Now I'm going to change our heart shape to this flower shape. So if you don't see your other shape here, just click on it and drag it so it's in this viewer. Now what we want to do, now we just need to move our playhead all the way at the start. And we're going to drag our flower over to the right and select Replace. So this is going to replace our heart shape. Now our flower looks pretty cool. That's a really great place to stop. So now I want to go back to our timeline and see what it looks like with our picture in our news shape. So right down the bottom here, you can see we have timeline 1 and our picture in picture composition. So we can actually double click on timeline 1 and we are back on our timeline. Now our flower looks pretty cool, but I do want to move it up just a little bit so we can see our flower in full. Now these edges kind of get a little bit lost with the background picture, so let's add our fancy border. So if we go back into our composition, so if we right click our composition and then press Open in Timeline, we're actually going to move these two up. So I'm just clicking and then holding Shift and clicking the next one, and we're just going to move them up 2. So now we have our video still up the top and our mask. And what we're going to do now is we're going to duplicate that mask. Okay, so now we have the 2 layers. Now we're going to select this mask layer and we're going to duplicate it. So we're going to click it and hold, press Alt or Option, I think, for Mac, and you're going to drag it down to video 1. Now the fun begins. We're going to select our effects and we're going to select generators, and down here we're going to select solid color and click and drag between these 2 layers. Now we'll just extend this layer like so. So now we have to do the exact same thing that we did with the video with this solid color. So if we select the solid color, let's change the color to red, press OK, and we're going to go into settings, and then in composite mode, we're going to change this to foreground. Now you're probably thinking, Belle, that didn't do anything. Well, that's because we need to change the size, but we don't need to change the size of this solid color layer. We need to change the size of its mask. So we click on this, and if we just zoom, we can see a flower come with a border. Looks pretty cool. Okay, so that looks pretty cool. Now we can go back to our timeline by clicking, double clicking timeline. And we might just move it over and up a little bit now that we've got border. Now we can actually add a drop shadow to this as well. So if we click our layer in Open FX, but we're just going to search for it. And we're going to type in drop shadow, and it's there. And we're just going to click and drag it over our composition. Now you can see we have a nice drop shadow around. To change where it is, we just click on Effects, make sure the Open FX tab is open, and we can change the distance, the angle of where it's at, and the strength. So in this scenario, you may have your picture-in-picture in the bottom corner, and it looks fantastic for most of the video, but there's this part of the video that there is things behind the picture-in-picture that you want your audience to see. So we're going to make our picture-in-picture just pop up a little bit, and then the audience can see what's behind. And then after it goes away, we're going to put our picture-in-picture back down. So we're going to use keyframes to achieve this. So we've got our picture-in-picture selected. and we're going to go up to the inspector. Now we're going to click on the tab video if it's not already there or highlighted, and under position there's this little diamond here. Now make sure you have your playhead where you want your picture-in-picture to move. So let's say I want it to move from there. So now I'm going to click the position keyframe. Now to make this a little bit easier to see what's going on, I'm going to click down here and we can see our added keyframe there. I was hoping I can make that wider. Okay, so that's our first keyframe. I want our picture to start moving upwards. So we're going to move our playhead just a little bit into the future. And we're going to add another keyframe. On this keyframe, we're going to change the y-axis and just make us float up a little bit. So if we go back, we can watch our picture-in-picture totally move out of the way of whatever is blocking the background. Whatever we're blocking in the background. So it's going a little bit slow. So to change the speed of how fast it moves, you can just hover over the keyframe and it has the two triangles. You can then move these together. So together will make it go quicker. Further apart, it'll go slower. So if we quickly play that back, it'll move much faster now. And of course, you can move it even faster by putting it even closer together. So now we have our flower up there. Let's say we're kind of in the way of the cinematic there. So I want to add another keyframe to move it down again. So what I'm going to do is just drag the y-axis again and bring it downwards. And that's created another keyframe. So what you might notice now is that our picture starts moving down as soon as it gets up there, because we have this other keyframe saying, hey, we need to be down here by the time we get here. So what we need to do in that situation is I'm just going to press Ctrl Z to get rid of that keyframe. So by the time we get here, we want our picture to be out of the way again. So I'm going to go to the start of this cinematic in our game. And I am going to add another keyframe. Now we're going to move a little bit further in our timeline. And then we're going to position the y-axis all the way down again. So this keyframe tells the program to keep this level this whole entire time. So if we play it back, we have it move out of the way. And then move back to its position. And that is how you can move your picture-in-picture using keyframes.
Wow, that was a lot. Congratulations for staying to the end and becoming a master of picture-in-picture. I really do hope you tried to have a go at the more advanced options in Davinci Resolve. All the skills that I showed you here today can be implemented in many different ways using Davinci Resolve. For instance, like text. You can animate it exactly like you did your picture-in-picture. Well, I hope you found this video useful. I'm Belle and this is How To IT, and as always, have a fantastic day and I'll see you in the next video.